Hi everyone, let's draw our city background for our project if the dinosaurs came back. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is start with a ground line. So I'm going to draw a line from the left to the right side of my paper as straight as I can. This is where the ground meets the sky. And all of our city buildings are going to sit on this ground line. So let's start by drawing all the way on the left side of our paper a rectangle. About a medium-sized rectangle. All right, now we are going to do something called creating form. And what we're going to do is turn this rectangle into more of like a three-dimensional city building by showing more than just the front side. This is the front side. We want to show more than one side. So we're going to go to the very top corner point on the right, and we're going to make a tiny little diagonal. And then from that diagonal line, we're going to go straight down to the ground. And we're going to fill in that side dark black with our markers. All right, so this looks more three-dimensional. This is one side of the building, this is the other side, and this whole area is the shadow of the building. Awesome, looks great. Let's try another building. This time we're going to do some overlapping. That means we're going to put one building behind this first building. So start at the top of that first building that you drew and draw a little straight line up, a little straight line over. Make sure the straight line that goes over goes past the building here. See how it's past the building that we first drew? Then we'll make a straight line down to the ground line. And let's try and make this look more like a platform. Let's do the same thing we did before. Make a little diagonal. And then a line down to the ground line. Put a shadow on it. Wow, that looks great. Let's do some more buildings. The next one we'll start, maybe this will be a small building. We'll start with a little short horizontal line coming out from that second building, and then we'll go straight down to the ground line. Let's create some form and add our shadow. Oops, let me try that again. There we go. That looks great. Looks like we have some buildings that are in front and then behind. Looks good. All right, let's make a building that maybe has many parts to it. Like it's maybe big, medium, and then small. It kind of gets bigger or it gets smaller as it goes up. So let's start with a line that goes straight up from that third building, and then we'll go straight over, straight down to the ground like we did with the second building. And we'll create some form here. And then we're going to layer this, so we're going to actually put another part of this building on top. So go ahead and make like a square on top, and then let's give it some form. We'll add the shadow. That looks great. Let's put one more part on top, a little tiny square this time. And then let's give it some form. That looks awesome. I love it. You can even put some little antenna on top if you want. Many buildings have those little antenna on top. I am going to let you choose what you want to put here for the last part of your building. Do you want to make a big building, a small building, a short building, a tall building, overlapping, a many layered building? Whatever you like. You can add one more building on the end here, or two or three if you have space. I am going to draw a really tall, skinny building. And I'm actually going to try that again because my top line was a little crooked, and so was my first line I made. I'm going to try that again. And I'm going to add some form there. And then I think I'm going to put a little line right here to show that there's a building that's way in the back that's kind of being covered up by these two buildings. And then maybe I'll put one right here to show that there's another building here and another building over here. So that kind of makes our city skyline look like it continues off of the paper, like it's really big. And actually, maybe I'll put another one right here, another building, just to show that there's so many buildings in the city. And I'll add a little bit of form there, and I have to overlap. I don't want to run into the buildings in front because this one's way in the back. Awesome, I think we finished the shape of our buildings. Now let's add some details. Here's how we can add some details to our buildings. Pick one of your buildings and let's try and add some windows by making crisscross lines. So I'm going to make some straight vertical lines that go up and down on one of my buildings, all the way down to the ground line from the top of the building. And then I'm going to make some horizontal lines that cross. So these are called crisscross lines. They're crossing each other. And can you guess what shape we're making when we cross these lines? We're making little tiny squares or rectangles. And I'm going to do this all the way down the building. You don't have to do yours all the way down the building if you don't want. But I think this is a really awesome way to create a lot of shapes that look like squares really fast, just using lines that cross each other. Neat. Now here's what else I can do. I can fill in some of the windows dark. It looks kind of like the light is on or the light is off when it's dark. That looks great. Here's something else I can do. There is a building in Chicago that looks kind of like this. It has these big beams on it that look like X's. And I'm going to repeat that all the way down the building. Maybe I'll give it some antenna. What else can I do? Maybe I can add some windows that look like this. And I can just draw my own squares. And I can fill them in or I can leave them blank. Here's what I'm going to do on this tiny part on this building here. I'm just going to make some little tiny lines, dashed lines that look like this, to show that this building has many windows, but they're so small because they're so far away. All right, friends, keep adding some details to your city. What else do you think you could add? Is there anything you could add to the sky? Clouds, birds, airplanes? Is there anything you could add to the road down below? Cars, people, trees. There's lots of details that you could add to your city drawing, and I cannot wait to see what you create. All right, friends, I hope you had fun drawing this little three-dimensional city, and make sure you don't leave any of your buildings blank. Add some details to all of them.